video, Randy highlighted what infographics are and how to make them a success. Now, can you give us some great examples of infographics that are used in the business community?
Absolutely. You're now seeing infographics all over the place. Many companies are using infographics online to share information about their industry, about their company, about their products, and using those as content marketing tools within their marketing plans. Those are the infographics that we all see because they get published online. They might be a history, they might be product information, they might be industry information. A number of them are even processes. A 10-step process that could have been a bullet list in a blog post, but instead, by turning that into an infographic, it becomes more visually engaging and also makes it easier for your audience to share your company information through social media and through other avenues. A lot of companies are also looking into sharing their proprietary information publicly. So they may have information about their product sales, about their industry, about their markets that nobody else has. And by putting those into infographics and sharing them, they build their own company credibility by saying, look at all this great information we have, and look at what we know about our products and our market.
And so basically when you put it in those sorts of contexts, and I won't read a big chart of data, but I'll look at an infographic because it lets me quickly determine what's important. So is it still using those 3 levels and the 5-second rule? Is that what you do with these sorts of infographics?
Exactly. So this is where you see that 5-second rule and that 3-stage or that 3-step story process in practice, where they're trying to tell one story really well and not try to tell you everything about the company all in one infographic. And you're starting to see now more and more companies are taking that idea of visual information and bringing it internal. And so they are beginning to design internal infographics that will never get published online because it's proprietary, confidential information, but it's something that they want to share internally to their employees, in sales presentations, at board meetings, all kinds of places where they're trying to communicate internally and do better with all this data that they have.
Is that an example of that, a budget that we might want to put together visually so people can easily understand it?
Yeah, a lot of companies are using budgets because obviously it's numbers and it's easy to visualize, but you can put an entire spreadsheet of expenses and income all on one visual, and it makes it really easy for the employees to see where's the money coming from, who are our top customers, what are our top products, where are our biggest markets. Really helps inform an employee workforce as to what's going on within the company.
What I really liked about the budget infographic is I could easily see where the big expenses were, but I could also see the little ones, and it kind of drew my attention around to begin to say, okay, how come the distribution or the allocation is that way, which I would never do if I saw a budget.
Yeah, it would take you a long time to find those kind of nuggets in a spreadsheet of data, but when you make it visual, you can very quickly, within seconds, see the biggest ones and the smallest ones and start to ask questions about why are these so different and what's going on here.
So thus far you talked about putting infographics into a context that we could put onto a website. You also talked about using it internally. Are there other applications where we are using infographics to communicate to an audience?
Yeah, we're seeing more and more broad uses of infographics. Press releases are a big one, where historically press releases have been paragraphs and paragraphs of text that companies put out. And so by adding infographics or even using an infographic as the press release, companies are starting to make that information visual and trying to get more people interested in their press releases. Consumer information. A lot of companies, they have information about your account with them and your use of their product and services. And they're using visuals in customized emails, whether it's a bar chart or a map or whatever, showing you how well or how poorly you're using their service.
Yeah, I actually get those at our house. For example, for our heat and our air conditioning, they give us infographics to show us how we compare to other houses in our area.
Absolutely.
And that really highlights whether we're good or bad or what we should be doing. And the nice part is just the infographic takes us to action that really improves our lives.
And that's really playing back into putting that value into context. Right? You not only just see your number, but see your number in the big picture and how do you relate to other people around you. A lot of infographics are also very informational. We've learned over the last 5 or 6 years of sharing infographics online that people are really interested in valuable information and not really interested in heavy sales pushes. So you're seeing a lot of infographics that are just, how to help their consumers. It might be how to do something or information about how to make a purchase decision. So a lot of these just informational infographics are really the most popular tools of using infographics online that we've seen.
And I love the way you emphasize that, because one of the things we saw in our trends that we did in MOOC 1 is the fact that people don't want heavy sales. They want a company that helps them have a better life by giving them information that makes their lives better and
Absolutely,
more
and if you're
efficient.
providing that information to an audience or a consumer base, that makes you, your company, your brand, that more valuable to that individual. And those are consumer companies. We've also seen a whole bunch of infographics from government organizations and charities and things like that, humanitarian organizations that are trying to show visually either why they're trying to raise money or provide support and services to certain causes, but also if you're donating to a charity, how much of your money actually goes to the cause itself and how much it becomes administrative expense.
One.org, which is a major not-for-profit for helping Africa, one of the things they found there was the biggest boost to their giving was the fact that they shifted from we need money to help end poverty in Africa to saying we're halfway there. They built an infographic that said we're halfway to eliminating it and we're going to eliminate it in this year. And people began to say, yeah, I understand that, let's get this done.
Right,
and it
makes a
changed.
big difference if you can show your audience that. A lot of companies have now started using them in annual reports, sustainability reports, a lot of the official documentation that they need to provide that also gets shared with not only the general public, but also shareholders and things like that. That's information and stories that they want to tell, and they're beginning to use infographics to do that. A lot of companies have now even gone to as far as what I call the company elevator pitch and turning that into an infographic where within somewhere between say 20 or 30 seconds, you can tell somebody everything about your company. You know, that key message of what's your product, what's your business, who's your target customer, and what's your competitive advantage. And be able to do that in a way that's visual gets your audience to not only understand and learn about your company, but to then remember it later.
So I not only could put it onto a website, but I can actually make it into a huge graphic that I could display, say, at a conference or a convention to get the message across to people.
Yeah, we're seeing infographics not only online as PDFs that you can email and share with people, but also as posters, as presentations, as big banners, like you said, at trade shows or in their front office, and even just handouts. Whether it's during a presentation or a sales meeting or something like that, turn an infographic into that handout or leave behind document.
Right now we're in the engagement marketing strategy, and one of the ideas of it is to make something go viral within a community that you want to target. And so if I do an infographic and it goes viral, what are some things I need to put on the infographic so they don't forget it's actually coming from my company?
Yeah, so you need to understand that when you release an infographic online, it's going to have a life of its own. No matter what information or text or web page that you originally published it on, people are going to grab that image, they're going to repost it and share it in social media, they're going to repost it on their blog or their website, and that image has to have all the information that you want to communicate to them because they may not link back to your company as, you know, a good link back to the original data source. So you want to have your data sources, you want to have the URL back to your company page and even to where that infographic lives, and certainly your company logo and name so that when people see this infographic on other sites, they still know where it came from.
It's amazing the number of applications that businesses can have using infographics, and they are a very, very powerful tool to really grab people's attention and to get them engaged with the information you're trying to convey. Thanks so much for sharing these tips and business applications with us, Randy.
Thank you, I love this stuff.